Hello and welcome to Northwestern Ontario Voices, Kenora. I'm Leanne Favreau, and today we are welcoming Kenora Mayor Andrew Poirier to the show. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Thank you very much for having me, Leanne.
You're not only the mayor of Kenora, but he's my old next door neighbor. So, and we're really hoping to chat with you, Andrew, on a regular basis here, and yourself and other mayors from around Northwestern Ontario, to cover our issues and our topics that are important to us all in this region. For the first interview, though, we're going to maybe take a little bit of time to get to know you. So you can maybe start with your personal and professional connections to our fair city of Kenora.
Well, from a personal perspective, I'm a lifelong resident of Kenora, minus about 9 years that I actually worked in Thunder Bay. But I did move back to Kenora and finish off my career here. So I worked with school boards in Northwestern Ontario, and I ended with a school board here when I retired in 2019. And why I'm sitting here today talking to you about, municipal politics and being mayor, it's something that I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to do at some point, or at least run. I shouldn't say I wanted to do it, but I wanted to run and see if I could get elected, and fortunately I did last fall. And it's one way that I can give back to the community. I'm involved in other service groups and other groups in the community volunteering, but it's one way that I can be part of affecting change in the community, and hopefully in a positive manner.
So is that kind of what attracted you to politics in the first place?
Well, I've always enjoyed politics, but it's always been kind of behind the scenes. And then one time someone said you should run for council, and that was back in 2003, a long time ago. And so I talked with my wife, and we decided, that would be something that would be something good to do, and ran and got elected, and I had 2 terms then from 2003 to 2009. That's when they were 3 years, the terms.
Right. Okay.
And then they subsequently switched them to 4 years. So now we're in a 4-year cycle. And then I was getting close to retirement, and I wanted to run again. I knew I wanted to go back and be part of it.
Right.
Very, very much enjoyed it, and so I was re-elected in 2018, and then I saw an opportunity. I think it was the opportunity that I was waiting for, where if I was going to run for mayor, that was the time. I had 3 terms on council, and I strongly believe in order to get new people in council,
I agree.
I think you take a look at how much time you're there, and I thought I was part of a lot of good things over those 3 terms, and I thought I would like to be mayor and be the face and the voice of the community, or of the city of Kenora, and so here I am today.
Were you nervous at all?
I don't know if it was so much nervous. It's just that it's the unknown, right? Because you don't like, you never know what's sort of lurking behind, and all the good things and good intentions you have. Sometimes you have to deal with some issues and problems that come up on almost a daily and weekly basis.
Absolutely.
But there's still lots of time to be part of a team that does good things, because I'm only one of 7, and I rely on my current council quite a bit.
Excellent.
And someone said, but they're all new, with fresh ideas. And that's very refreshing for me. And I think we're beginning to gel as a group more and more each time.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you've been around Kenora for a long time, and generally most people that are born and raised, like myself, here, what is it about Kenora that you think is the attraction?
Well, when I was driving from home, I could look to my left driving to Q8, and I saw the lake 5 times.
Right.
And I
Big
passed,
one.
And I passed our boat that was sitting at a dock and that, and I have to tell you that, I mean, the lake is, it's a beautiful community. Yes, we have some issues going on, like most other.
Many other places.
Yes. But the lake is my attraction to Kenora, and then you kind of build around that.
Yes.
You build around the lake, and we have many other areas that have been built up over the years. Again, coming here, I look at Norman Park, where it used to be basically a blank
Right.
slate. It was a beach there. Now you have commerce on the lake. You have the hoopla. And then you have the splash park that was put together again by a lot of very dedicated
True.
volunteers
The Rotary
in the community.
has been involved forever.
Yeah,
and,
I
and
mean,
we grow.
yeah,
It's amazing. I've
Yeah.
lived here most of my life, born and raised, and every now and again I'm like, I'll drive by and go, where did that
Yeah.
come from? Wow, look at that.
yeah. So I mean, there's many things. The nature, and the other thing is, unfortunately, you see it time and time again where there's a tragedy and people in this community come together. And not to say it doesn't happen in other communities, but I see it here all the time. And
Well, and so many of us know each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
big city, small town.
yeah, yeah.
You know, the Kenora, Keewatin, Norman, the amalgamation was like,
Yeah.
okay, but still, it's
Yeah.
like, I'm a Keewatin girl, and I'm going to be that way till, I swear by that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of old school that way.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things do we see, maybe like some of your hopes for the future for the city of Kenora?
Well, I think the one big area that we're working on right now, and again, council in the city of Kenora does not construct houses or housing units, but we play a part in it through planning, through infrastructure, expansions, extensions, other types of infrastructure. We have programs now where we have the ability to assist developers in certain ways as long as it meets a threshold.
Right.
We're engaged in a lot of that right now. There's some that are happening right now. There's many others that are in discussion on the books, and that's about all I can say about that. But if they all come through and they all come to fruition, we are going to go a long way to solving our housing shortage in this community. And that's right across the whole housing continuum.
That's great to hear. And I
Yes.
know that comes up in topics of conversation. You're just generally sometimes having coffee with people.
Yes.
And that's a big one. So sometimes maybe there's always a challenge. Sometimes always a challenge. So maybe let's take a look at some of those kinds of things.
Well, I mean, as everybody can see when they're downtown and that, we have some challenges in the community with homelessness. But again, you go back to the first thing I spoke about, the housing and that. And again, there are some housing projects that are happening that will begin to address that issue.
Excellent.
Of people that require
And it
a
all
roof
takes
over their
time.
head.
Nothing
And it
happens overnight.
Yeah, bricks and mortar takes time. The planning, putting the money together with agencies, other levels of government. I can cite 3 that are going on right now that'll be of a great benefit
Right.
to the community. We have the 20-unit transitional housing that's being built downtown right now on the corner of Matheson and McClellan. We have 30-unit supportive housing build going up near Evergreen Rink,
Right?
which will help. And it's not only about having a roof over people's heads and that, it's about having wraparound services attached to them,
Right.
which
There's
is
a lot
what
behind
a lot
that.
of people needed. And we also have one of the first senior build we've had in probably 3 decades.
That one surprised me. That was
in
very
Lakeside, and
wonderful.
I happened to be part of that when I was on the district service board in my last term of council, and there was a lot of work that went in to get to that point, and it just happened to start at the end of one term of council leading into the next. So there was a lot of work done on these projects with the previous council, and it's leading into this new one. Now we're taking some other projects and hopefully moving forward in the very near future.
Excellent. Okay. So is that sort of part of what the progress looks like for you?
Well, I mean, because again, council has certain tools in their toolbox to deal with some of these issues. We don't specifically and directly deal with addictions programs. We fund certain agencies that may be part of that process.
Right. The umbrella.
Yeah, like our external agencies are external funding, so we do that. But we need to be at the table with everything, and I think that's one thing that this council's doing. Is we're
so good to hear.
We're at the table, and it's not just about the mayor; it's about all of council, and we have people on committees. And there's a strategic reason for it, and that people are bringing a certain skill set from the council table.
Everyone has their strengths.
Yes, and I can think we have a retired OPP officer that I rely on to for all kinds of information, and that when we're talking about certain items. Great fountain of information that way. We have other individuals who are tied to other agencies, whether it's in the private sector or in the public sector, that we draw on all that expertise, and that's what we do as a team.
Perfect. So we had sort of mentioned it's like every city, every community has their issues. What would you say maybe, or let's say projects, or it's not necessarily a positive or negative. What are maybe our top three?
Well, I think housing would be number one.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of them are interconnected, but housing, which will solve some of our issues that are social issues that we have.
Definitely.
It's not going to solve it all, but it's going to go a long way to helping it. If people have roofs over their head, they're not on the streets.
Good point.
The other issue from my point of view in that is, we're always grappling with budget, right, and taxes and taxation. So we have to balance.
Well, and the money has to come from somewhere.
Yes, and there's one pocket, there's one taxpayer. So we have to prioritize, and we have to be very cautious and careful about how we're connecting all the dots in the budget to help facilitate projects. Work with other agencies and fund some of the opportunities that we think will benefit the community. Right. So it's a struggle all the time, and it's not just at a set period of time in the budget cycle or in the budget year, but it's all year, and that we have to keep our eye on the ball. And that was one of the things I ran on is, if we can create opportunities and a new assessment in the community, we can do a lot of good things, because we will have the financial backing to do that.
Well, and not everything is all butterflies and roses. There's, like we said, each community has its positives and negatives. We've hosted Harborfest, all the there's some amazing events, farmers market, all that kind of thing. So those things, hopefully, and like you said, with manpower and budget and volunteering and all that kind of stuff, and that's how it has to be generated. And I think it's, I don't know, maybe you agree or disagree, that positive mindset, there are always, I call them negative Nellies or whatever, but glass is always half full for me. Sounds like the council and yourself are on board with that.
Well, they are, and we understand what the issues are, but every time I meet with a minister, either federally or provincially, when I start my introduction, I talk about positive things in the community, which maybe leads you into some of the issues that we have, because we usually have to have discussions about funding opportunities and what can we do to help facilitate your level of government to implement a program that's going to help everybody in the community. But I always start on the positive, because there's more positives than negatives in the community, and I stand by that.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And you've mentioned a few. I'll give you an example. Is tomorrow morning all of council will be down there greeting people coming into the farmers market, because that is probably one of the busiest ones that we'll have during the whole year. And then follow that up and greet people again the following Wednesday.
Excellent.
So
well,
it's,
that's
getting out and
and being. I like being in the community. That's why I host this program. Anyway, but those are the I call them heartfelt kind of things. And like you said, there's a lot of ups and downs, but we just keep going with it.
Yep.
So maybe just sort of to tie things up a little bit, what else is on the radar coming up?
Well, we're actually getting ready to go to a large municipal conference where we get the eyes and the ears of ministers.
Wow.
To talk about some of the not only challenges but some of the opportunities that we see in the community. How could you help us with achieving some of these goals? Because we have a certain size of tax base.
Yes.
Everything's very expensive to do, so we can do as much as we can. So we look for those opportunities and those partnerships and creating those linkages and friendships with ministers and that, which I've spent an awful lot of time since I've been mayor on. And I can phone some up now, and they remember
Wow.
you, and but that's a good thing in that. But it's about building those relationships, and then they begin to understand what some of our issues are here in the community.
Right.
Because we have some unique ones compared to maybe the riding that they come from in Southern Ontario.
True.
So we need to educate them on some of the issues that we have that maybe are a little more unique in Kenora in Northwestern Ontario from London, Ontario, or Ottawa.
Well, and it's funny. Ontario we're large, and the differences sometimes between Southern Ontario and I'll call us Northwestern, are like night and day.
Yeah.
But they have similar bases.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
And I think one other item, and again I go back to if we grow the city, if we grow because we have lots of people that want to move here. I know people say everybody's moving. That is the numbers are not there to back that up.
Okay,
There's just
good.
as many people moving in as there are moving, and that has happened as long as I can remember. For a variety of reasons, people move. It could be because their families relocated. They have grandkids now in other parts of the country, so they follow them and they move. But we also have a lot of very young professionals that would like to move to Kenora and that, and
Excellent.
I meet them all the time, and we meet them, and they come into City Hall to ask questions, and we get that on a regular basis. One thing I can or I'd like to mention is we have this young ambassador program that we started. So we had yesterday, as an example, because I was provided with the information. Excuse me.
No problem. It happens. It's all these bright lights.
So they were downtown, and what they do is they welcome people to the community. They help them if they're looking for a restaurant or they're looking for a particular store. So that's what you want to see. That was the whole intent of the program. And I know when it first started that the people had different ideas about what they were going to do. But they're ambassadors. They're representing the city when
Now,
they're talking
are they
to people.
normally local?
Well, the two individuals that we have this year, because it's the first year, are local. We've even had them at council. They've been introduced to
Fantastic.
council, and I said next time we would like them to come to, they can present to us and that and tell us all the good things that happen. But just as an example, we had individuals from Poland that were at the fire and police games
Really?
in Winnipeg that heard about Kenora, came down for the day, and they met them.
That's
Or
fantastic.
so they started talking that, and they asked them, and they said, "Well, we heard about Kenora," and they were just blown away by the beauty here.
Excellent.
And I've met people that have come up to City Hall and not wanted to take pictures around City Hall because of the building. It's a heritage building, and you start talking to them, and I've met a couples from Calgary, and they originally were from Pakistan. I've met people from BC this summer that were in Winnipeg, and someone said you should go to Kenora and they spent the whole day. And when you ask them where'd you go, and they did the normal things, but then they found other areas they wanted to go and take a look at. and just driving around the community and that, and thought it was great. And again, they see some of the same issues we see every day downtown.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere. It's international. It's right across the world. So, so you know, those are the good news stories that we want to promote. I deal with problems every day.
I'm sure.
And I'll deal with some problems later on in that. But these are the kind of programs, these are the kind of discussions you want to have, and sell the city and talk about some of the positive aspects. And again, you know, just driving over here and that, now I got to drive back and I got to drive and see the lake on my right-hand side, and you know, my boat sitting there and everything else. And
it's home.
It
is home.
It's the beauty here is just it's amazing. And people spend a lot of money to see this because they don't have it in their areas.
And it's in our own backyard.
And it's in our own backyard. So, you know, that's what we want to promote. And yes, we will grapple and deal with some of the issues that we have. And I think slowly but surely, we are chipping away at some of the social issues that we have in the community. But it takes, you know, what is it? You know, it takes a village to
it takes to raise a child
or something. You know,
so we're it's the same idea.
It's the same idea here, and we have a lot of very committed individuals, groups, and agencies in this community that are all trying to work for the same result, and that is to help people, give them a leg up, and make them a better citizen. And unfortunately, it got to this point, but we can work. And I know it's better this year than it was last year, because I hear it from people that said you'll never make a change here.
Wow.
And so I think everybody's proved them wrong. And do we have work to do? You bet. But that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
You know, we have 4 years to try and make some positive change, and with all that comes better things for the community. So
I agree.
You know, that's when I wake up every morning, that's what I think about. I think about the issues and the things that might keep me up at night, but I also think about the positives and the good things that are going on in the community. And so does the rest of council, and I think that's what is making us effective in this term, and many more good things to come as we proceed through the 4 years.
Well, and I know myself personally, long career on air, etc. But when I've been, you know, tempted, or I've actually gone out into bigger communities in Winnipeg and that kind of thing, I always come home. I've left the city 3 times, always come home. So. That it's in my heart. So, and that, I think that goes for a lot of us.
The only issue I have is the 35 below weather in the winter and that, but
gets a little chilly too.
I deal with it and that, but you know, by and large, you know, things are going in the right direction, and we, as I say, we have a good group of employees. Everybody's working on the same page, looking to make things better in the community. And again, it takes time, and anything that has to be constructed, that takes even more time. But we are beginning to see the benefit of 4 or 5 years of a lot of hard work, and it's going to continue, because we see it every day, and I hear about it every day.
And that's what all the Kenorites and the rest of the world, I'm sure, that's what we've been looking forward to hearing.
And that's what we need to cling to, and that we need to cling to the positive. We need to reinforce the positive, and we should be a much larger city. You know, population-wise, in that we shouldn't be 15,000. And I know you know, the surrounding areas and that make it much larger, but Kenora itself and that has the ability to be much larger. And I think with some of the things that we're looking at doing, being part of, and again, we're not solving all those problems, but we're being part of it. And if we make those strategic investments in the community, that only makes things better, and that only will attract more people to the community.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Okay, so Mayor Poirier, thank you. We really do appreciate having you here today, and we hope that we can continue to have these little updates and you know, kind of look at things through the community, and anything else as far as our region goes for Northwestern Ontario. voices, because we're going to work on developing kind of deeper insights into some of these topics. And again, thank you so much. It's been, like I said, it's been nice seeing you again, kind of deal. So,
Okay.
And I'd like to thank you for watching Northwestern Ontario Voices. I'm Leanne Favreau.